Hello students, welcome back to your math classes. How are you all? I hope you all are doing well. So students, now we have a new chapter which is chapter number 16, data handling. Before starting this chapter, first we have to understand what is mean by data handling. So in this, data means a collection of information. So whenever we collect some information, that is called data. And in the handling, we are going to interpret our data, analyze, and we are representing. How can we represent our data in different ways? So the chapter is all about your information, the collective information, and how can you analyze, how can you interpret, and how can you represent that information in different way. Now, group data, a collection of facts of figures from which some information can be drawn, it's called data. For example, the marks out of 50 students by 30 students of a class in a test are given below: 36, 25, 25, 18. So these are the marks of a class out of 50. Okay, each entry in the above list is called an observation. Such a collection of observation initially called raw data. So when we just collect the data, we cannot arrange it in ascending or descending order, and we are not doing anything on it. It refer as your raw data. After arranging it in your ascending or descending order, then it refer as the array data. Okay, or better still, the data is represented in the form of frequency table. The above data regarding marks can be represented as, so these are the marks. Now we have to check out how many times a particular marks the observation is repeated. So 12, 1 and 2. So we write 2 here. Then 18, 1, 2, 3, 4 and the cross sign with 5. Now I hope so you still remember in your earlier classes we are doing this 1, 2, 3, 4. This is the 4 lines we have to draw, and we take a diagonal line to make it a group of 5. This is your telemarks. In same way you have to represent. If you have more numbers, so you have to repeat the same again: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and then cross out. So in such a way you can represent your observations, your frequencies in telemarks. So here we have 5, here we have 5, here 1, here we 6. So we write say 5 and then 1, 5, 4 and 3. Now, the characteristics under study marks is called the variable, and the number of times a particular observed value occurs is called its frequency. So, how many times a particular observation is repeated, it's called its frequency. The data presented in this form is called the discrete frequency distribution or frequency table on for ungrouped data. The difference between highest and lowest values of the observation is known as range. So in the above example, the highest one is 44 and the lowest one is 12. 44 minus 12 is 32. In case the variable extends over a wide range and the number of observation is large, arranging the data in ascending or descending order becomes a tedious task. So then the raw data are summarized and made compressible by grouping or classification. For example, now we are making a group of it. How can we make a group? So, 10 to 14 marks should be included in this group. 15 to 19 marks should be included in this group. But if you see here, each class is in a frequency distribution table is bounded by class limits. Class limits are the two ends of a class. The lower value is called the lower class limit and the higher value is called the upper class limit. For example, for the class 15 to 19, for this, the lowest one is 15 and the highest one is 19, the upper one. So 15 plus 19 divided by 2 is your class limit. 20 and upper limit is 24. Thus, there is a gap or discontinuity between the upper limit of a class and lower limit of the next class. To ensure the continuity of the variable while classifying data, we modify the class interval as 9.5 to 14.5, 14.5 to 19.5. Now, we have 10 to 14 marks. So, after 10 and 14, there is a discontinuity. So, what we have to do, we have to make a continuous form. So, for that, we can make a group like this: 9.5 to 14.5 and 14.5 to 19.5. If you arrange now your class limit, it's same for rest of the groups. So class midpoint is upper class plus lower class divided by 2. The class marks of each class is used to represent the class. Once raw data are grouped into classes, individually observations are not used in further calculation. Instead, the class mark is used. The difference between the upper limit of the class interval and the lower limit of the first interval, it's called the range of the group of the data. It means you have to subtract the lowest value from the highest value. This is your range of data. Now, formation of classes. How many classes should we have and what should be the class size? So range, number of the classes multiplied by class size. This equality shows that given the range of the variable, the number of classes and class size are interlinked. Given the value of range, if we choose small class size, then the number of classes would be large and hence difficult to handle. On the other hand, if the class size is too large, then the number of classes becomes too small and hence loses information about variation the data. So next question arises, how do we determine the class limits? Once class size is chosen, we need to decide the lower class limit of the first class. We can choose the minimum value of the variable or a value less than the minimum value of the variable as a lower limit. So it's totally up to us. How can we conclude it? Just you have to find out the lower one and just make sure that your groups is divided in such a way that each and every group having equal number of data. Now there are two methods of classification of row data. First one is exclusive method. When the class intervals are chosen such that the upper limit of one class coincides with the lower limit of the next class, it is known as exclusive method of classification. Under this method, the upper class limit is excluded, but the lower class limit of a class is included in the interval. For example, 10 to 15, and the last upper limit is included as the lower limit of the second group. So in such way, yeah, we have to arrange our data. This is called exclusive method of data arranging. Now we have inclusive method. In this inclusive method, the classes are formed such that both the classes limits are included in that class. The frequency table shows the classification of data by inclusive method as discussed earlier. The class intervals can be adjusted to maintain continuity of the variable. So once classes are formed, the method of telemarks is used to write the numbers of observation falling in a particular class. Now, the heights of 50 students of class measured to the nearest centimeter are given below. 150 to 155, 155 to 160. Now we have to measure how many students have different heights. So this 150 to 155 centimeter heights are for 7 students, then 13. So what is the class size? So 150 plus 155 divided by 2 is your 155 minus 150 is your class size 5. Next, what is the upper limit of class? So upper limit is 155 or 160, obviously 160. Next, what is the lower limit class? 170 or 175, 170 is the lower class. What is the frequency class of 160 to 165? 160 to 165, the frequency is 15. What is the class mark of class? So 165 plus 160, 170 plus divided by 2 is your class mark. The following data gives the daily wages in rupees or 25 workers in a factory. Now you have to calculate, present the above data in the form of group data. So here the maximum and minimum values of the observations 150 and 75 respectively. Range of the data is 150 minus 75. So we can make 8 classes of class size 10. Okay. So now 75 to 85, 85 to 95, 95 to, you can arrange your daily wages in such group. Then your telemarks, which you already learned in your earlier classes, and the previous section I already discussed with you. Now how many numbers of workers we have? So you can now do this. Now we have our exercise 16.1, and I hope so the above concept is clear to you and now you are able to solve your exercise. The frequency distribution of weight in kg of 50 employees of a company is given below. What is the class size? So 55 minus 50. This is your class size 5. Which class interval has the highest frequency? So highest frequency have 65 to 70 class intervals. What is the upper limit of class size? So 60 is the upper limit. What is the range of the given data? What is the range of the given data? Highest is 80 and lowest is 50. So range data is 30. What is the class mark of the class? 75 and 80. To 75 plus 80 divided by 2, 145, 155. Divided by 2, 7, 77.5. Now the following table gives the productivity yield in kg per hectare, weight of 150 farms in a village. What are the upper limit and the lower limit of the class 67 and 71. So the upper limit is 71 and the lower limit is 68. What is the class size of each classes? So the class size of each classes is 3. 53 minus 50 is 3. 56 minus 53 is 3. What is the class mark of class 65 and 68? So 65 plus 68 divided by 2, 120, 130, 3 divided by 2, 6, 6.5. Next, how many farms give production yield of 71 kg or more? So how many farms are 71 kg or more? So 10 plus 5, 15. Next, what is the range of the data? So the highest one is 77 and the lowest one is 50. So 27 is the highest. Sorry, range. Now the marks out of 100 obtained by 35 students. So what you have to do, you have to make a frequency table for it. So prepare a frequency table. Same for the question number 4, 5 and 6. Okay. I already explained you how can you make your frequency table with the help of above examples in your above section. You can go through this to get a hint of it. So now we have histogram. Histogram is similar to your bar graphs, but the difference between histogram, there is no gap between the graphs. Okay, between your bars there is no gaps. So read the following histogram depicting marks of students in a test. Answer the question that follow. An histogram, we are making group data representation. It means 10 to 20. So how many students get marks between 10 to 20? 3. How many students get marks between 20 to 30? 8. So in such a way we are answering. What is the class size? So 10 to 20, 20 to 30. So class size is 10. 20 minus 10. Next, how many students appear for the test? How many students appeared for the test? The highest number is 12. So 12 students. This is your class size. How many students? 3 plus 8 plus 12 plus 9 plus 7. 37 students appeared for the test. How many students are there in the class interval 40 to 50? 40 to 50. 9 students are there. Then number of students who scored below 30 is 3 plus 8 is 11. The adjoining histogram depicts the heights in centimeter of 125 people in a group. Study the histogram and answer the following question. What is the class interval of the maximum height? Maximum height class interval is 180 minus 185 is the class interval of maximum height. So you can subtract it, 185 to 180 to 185. Yes, 180 to 185 is the interclass interval for the maximum height. Then we have a class size which is 165 minus 165. How many people have height below 170? So below 170 is 5 and 25, 30 people. How many people have height 180 centimeter or more? 35 plus 10, 45. So in such a way you can represent your data. Now in this question, draw a histogram to represent the following data. I'll explain you this because the same question, same kind of question you have in an exercise as well. First of all, you have to prepare your y-axis and x-axis. The vertical line depicts y-axis and the horizontal line depicts x-axis. We already learnt in our earlier classes. Now number of teachers and age in years. So now we are going from 0 to 20. That's why we make a tick here, which is called a crisscross sign as well. Now you can simply represent your data. So how many teachers are live between 20 to 25? 3. So between 20 to 25, you have to make a bar till 3. Then 25 to 30, make a bar till 8. In 30 to 35, you can make a bar till 10. So in such a way, you can continue your bar graph and make it. Now the adjoining histogram depicts the weekly pocket money in rupees of 50 students of a school. Read the histogram and answer the following question. What is the class size? So class size is 120 minus 100 is 20. So class size is 20. How many students get pocket money less than 160? So less than 160 get 8, 10, 9. 9 plus 10 plus 8. 19 plus 8 is 27. Which two class intervals have the same frequency? One 20 to 140 and 160 to 180. Next, which is the class interval in which the number of students is minimum? So in minimum we have 6, 200 to 250. What are the class marks of the last two classes? So the last two classes we have 180 to 200, which is 9, and the next, what are the class marks? Okay, so 180 plus 200 divided by 2, and the second one is 200 plus 250 divided by 2. So this is your answer. Okay, in the same way you have to answer this, then you have to make your histogram as I explain you in your example. Now we move forward to the pie chart. Pie chart means that when we represent our data with the help of a circle. So, and we already know the complete angle is the central complete angle is 360 degree. To represent our data into circle, we can use this information to representing our data. Now central angle of a component, percentage of figure of the component multiplied by 3.6. So value of a component, sum of the components value multiplied by 100. This is the formula we have while we have to represent our data into a circle. So now the adjoining pie chart gives the number of persons opting for various cold drinks. Read the pie chart and answer the following questions. Take the total number of person 540. So which is the least popular cold drink? Which is the least popular? Limca. Next, how many persons like Sprite? Only 80. Okay, so how many persons like Sprite? So you have to calculate. So this is, how can you calculate your value of complement, sum of the complement multiplied by 360. So 80 multiplied by 540, the sum of overall 540 divided by 360 is 120 people like Limca. Number of persons who like Pepsi, so Pepsi is 90 multiplied by 540 divided by 360, 135 people like Pepsi. Now the following table shown the monthly expenditure for household. Draw a pie chart to represent the data. So this is your information. Value of complement. First we have to add all the sum of the complements is 4000 plus 7500 plus 1500 plus 2500 plus 4500. So your overall answer is 20,000. Now 4,000 divided by 20,000 multiplied by 360, 720 degree. We already learnt about this formula. Value of complement upon sum of the complement value and multiply by it 360 degree. So this is 725, 135, 27, 45, 81. Now what you have to do, you have to make a circle, and according to your angles degree, you have to distribute that particular sector to the circle. So first we have, see which one have the bigger one. So 135, take the big part of the circle, then 81, then 72, then 45, and then 27. So in such a way you can represent and make your pie chart. Next we have exercise 16.3. So I hope so you still now learned about how can you read your pie chart, how can you evaluate your pie chart, and similarly how can you make your pie chart. So the adjoining pie chart shows the number of books of different subjects purchased by a library. If the total books purchased were 18,000, answer the following question. So next we have, in which subject were the maximum number of books were purchased? So in science, 90 is the degree and the total angle is 360, and we have to multiply with 18,000. So 18 here cancel, okay, 10, and here we have 4, 1, 4, 20, 25 and 0. So 4500 is your answer. Next, how many more books were purchased in English than Hindi? So English we have 70 and Hindi we have 60. So 70 minus 60 is 10. And how many books? So 10 multiplied by 360 multiplied by 18,000. 0 is cancelled out with 0. Here we have 1. Here we have 2. So 100 here 5. So 500. 500 books is more. Now how many books of social science were purchased? Social science we have 55. So 55 upon 360 multiplied by 18,000. 0 is cancelled out with 0. Here we have 2. Here we have 100 and 1. And here we have 50. 5 multiplied by 25, 2. 5 multiplied by 25, 2, 7. So 2750 is our answer. Now the adjoining pie chart shows the major occupation of a group of person. If the number of person in service is 800, then find the number of persons considered for the service. Considered who are traders. Traders are 108. So how can you calculate 108 upon 360 multiply by 800? Who are manufacturers? So 54 divided by 360 multiply by 800. So in such a way you can calculate your answer and write it here. And after this, the same question we have in question number 3. Rest of the questions you have to make the pie chart of it. Next we have probability. Probability means a random suggestion or random guess. Okay, if I toss a coin, so what will become? Head or tail? So I don't know the result, you also don't know the result, so then at that moment we can say anything at randomly. Okay, for example, tail will become, so it means probability is the random guess. So experiment and activity which ends in some well-defined outcomes results, it's called an experiment. Elementary event, an outcome of a random experiment, it's called an elementary event. For example, in the random experiment of tossing of a coin, the elementary events are E1 getting head and E2 is getting head. So when I toss a coin, so there are only two events should be happen, which is elementary event. The first, it is a possibility it will become a head, or there is a possibility it will become a tail. So total both of them are elementary events. Then we have compound event. For a random experiment, if an event is obtained by combining two or elementary events of the random experiment, then it is called a compound event. For example, in a throw of a die, consider event A getting an odd number, and A is a compound event as it is obtained by combining three element events, which is E1, E2 and E3, because in a dice we have three odd numbers. Now equally likely events. Two or more events are said to be equally likely if one is not expected to happen more often than the other. For example, when a coin is tossed, the two events getting head and getting tail are equally likely, as there is no reasons to expect either head or tail in preference to the other. Next, occurrence of an event. An event A associated to a random experiment is said to occur if any of the elementary events associated to the event is an outcome of the experiment. For example, consider the random experiment of the throwing a die. So, dice. Then the event A getting a number greater than 4 is said to be or upper or happen if any of the elementary event getting 5 or 6 is an outcome of the throw. Favorable events. An elementary event said to be favorable to a compound event if it ensures occurrence of A. So getting an ace of heart, getting of an ace of spades, getting an ace of diamonds and getting an ace of clubs. Non-occurrence of an event. For a random experiment, non-occurrence or not happening of an event A is denoted by this A and a line up above it read as negotiation A or note A. A is an event, A negotiation is an event which occurs when A does not occur and vice versa. So probability, the word probability as used in our daily life means possibility or likelihood, and it's used for events which are not certain to happen. We cannot say anything to this. Now, for example, there is little probability for his regaining health. There is strong probability of India winning in the cricket. So definition, if a random experiment has in all n equally likely elementary events and m of these are favorable to an event A, then the probability of happening or occurrence of event A is denoted by P and n is equal to m upon n. It means probability of A is m upon n, number of the elementary events are favorable to A, and total number of equal likely elementary events. For example, when I toss a coin, it means the probability of getting a head or tail. I refer in the upper part, M and N. What are the total possibility I have? I have two possibilities. It will be a head or it will be a tail. So this is your probability. Find the probability of getting 6 in a single throw of a dice. So 1 by 6 is only the single probability for the getting a 6. Two unbiased coins are tossed simultaneously. Find the probability of getting one head. If two coins are, then 2 by 4 is the answer, which is 1 by 2, at least one head. So 3 by 4, because when we two coins are tossed, so it means we have two head. So at least one head is obtained if we have any of the outcomes. So the number of favorable outcomes is 3. A card is drawn from a pack of 52 cards. Find the probability that the drawn card is a queen. We have 4 queens out of 52 cards. So 1 by 13 is the probability. A black card, 26 cards are black in 52 cards. So 26 upon 52, which is half probability. A red king, only 2 king we have. So 2 by 52, which will be converted 1 by 26. Next, either a king or a ace. So we have 4 king and 4 ace. So 8 by 52 is the probability to getting a king or an ace. So 2 by 13 is the probability. So in that way, you have to solve the question. Let's move forward to the exercise 16.4 and evaluate yourself. Which of the following is a random experiment? Tossing a coin. Yes, it is a random experiment. Measuring the angles of a triangle. It's not a random experiment. So in the same way, you can solve rest of the questions. List the elementary events associated with the following random experiment. Tossing 2 coins simultaneously. So head, head, there is a chances. Tail, tail, head, tail, and tail, hand. So these are the possibility of elementary events. In a single throw of a die, find the probability of getting an even number. So we have even number 2, 4 and 6. So 3 by 6, which is half. This is the probability. Next we have a prime number. So prime number we have 2, 3, 5 and no, one is not a prime number. 2, 3, 5. So 3 by 6, again half is the probability. So in same way you can solve your rest 2 questions. Now 2 coins are tossed simultaneously. Find the probability of getting 2 tails. So 2 by 4, 1 tail. So 1 by 2 by 4. A card is drawn at random from a well-shuffled pack of 52 cards. Find the probability that the card is a king, a queen or queen or an ace. So we already discussed this question in our example. You can take a hint from that. A bag contains 7 white, 5 red and 4 green balls. A ball is drawn at random from the bag. Find the probability that the drawn ball is, so how many red balls we have? 5. Total we have 7 plus 5, 12. 12 plus 4 is 16. So 5 upon 16. Green, 4 upon 16. So it will be converted 4 upon 1 upon 4. So in same way you can solve your rest of the question, and with that your chapter is hands here. Now you have some things which you have to remember if you forget while you learning this concept in your above section. So here is a compiled form of all the information. You can take a hint from it. So students, for today that's it. Now I'll meet you in your next class with a new chapter. Till that, bye bye. Have a good day.